All right, everybody, we are live again. Dynasty Mir Search for Huru. Have the brother Holip Sism on with us again
Peace.
today. Holip, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. It's
No
always a
problem. Peace, everybody. Peace, family.
always a pleasure. Today's show is African Coonin Ass Disclaimers Part 2. It's not racism, it's tribalism. Let me go
Oh,
ahead and
before you get started, can you
go ahead.
send me the show link, like the YouTube link to that?
I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the I'll do that right now.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm just gonna sum this up real quick. White people came together, even with all their infighting, beefs. They came together, and they held a round table, which was called the Berlin Conference, and they sat down strategically, and they came to an agreement on how they were going to carve up and divide Africa. They came to an agreement on how they were going to implement white supremacy by any means necessary. They put all the fighting to the side. You know, I'm French, I Italian, I'm German, I'm British, I'm Dutch. They put all that to the side. Different tribes put it all to the side and came to an agreement on how they're going to come together under the umbrella of white supremacy and pretty much colonize this whole entire planet. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, we can't get along in Africa because we're beefing over some tribalism. You know, Igbo can't get along with a Yoruba. Igbo can't get along with a Fulani. You know, this tribe can't get along. Tutsi and the Hutsi can't get along. But when it's time to put our heads together and under the umbrella of African supremacy, for some reason we can't do it because of tribalism, but the Asian could come together under Asian supremacy. The European, the white man could come together under European and white supremacy. When it comes to us, when it comes to how they're going to deal with us, they could come together. But when it's time to deal with non-blacks and come up with our own agenda, we are on some old, archaic, ignorant, dusty tribalism excuse on why we can't come together.
Hmm.
You want to interject?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to take a take on this. There's probably something unexpected, but I'm going to show you how the African in America and the African on the continent have more in common with each other than they even think.
Right.
Just lay it out like the way that you laid it out in terms of the cognitive dissonance of the continental African when it comes to that subject.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. I'm going to take it from the African American perspective.
Go ahead.
I hear how people say, "Oh, well, I'm a nationalist, or I'm for nationhood, but I don't like Christianity. I'm not going to deal with um, if you believe in Jesus, if you believe in Allah, you're a Muslim. You can't be down with my nation. If you are interracial dating, you can't be down with my nation. If you this, we have all of these checklists of things that disqualify you for nationhood. Yet here we are in America. All of those things that we have those checklists against, we are living with under the social, economic, and political infrastructure of the white man.
Right.
So isn't it the same? Don't we have more in common with each other? Because we're just as hypocritical and have as much cognitive dissonance as the continental African does. It's like we will fight each other and come up with all types of excuses as to why we can't work together. But we live together functionally in somebody else's system. Because I don't care, anybody in this chat room who says, oh, I am totally against homosexuality. Are you going to tell me that there's no homosexuals at your job? You might even have a homosexual as your supervisor. What are you doing about it? What's your strong stance against it? Have you revoked your American citizenship? Have you quit your job in protest? You know what I'm saying? We got these hard lines in the sand when it comes to our own people. But when it comes to living under the socioeconomic and political infrastructure of somebody else, everything that we say we can't deal with, not only do we deal with it, but we deal with it with a smile on our faces. That's why I say there's no such thing as the uncompromising Negro. That's a fantasy in people's mind to make them feel better about themselves.
But what's crazy, even the non-blacks who live in these African countries, they're racist towards them, but they're not doing anything, I guess, to put them in their place or to really call them out and confront their racism, whether it be the Indian, the Chinese, the Lebanese. But everything falls back to, brother, it's not racism, it's tribalism.
Yeah.
When these Africans travel to anywhere on this planet, there's a clear-cut code of conduct that we don't like the African. Clear cut.
Mm-hmm.
Unapologetic about it.
Right.
But for some reason, you still have a bunch of Africans that are on this dusty tribalism way of thought. And this is the thing. Holip. Now, here in America, we have our, I would say, tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, from what I observe, tribalism is pretty much, I would say, more of a people who are in poverty issue. Bloods, Crips, Vice Lords, whatever
Mm-hmm.
you'll call it. It's more of a, if you're impoverished, if you're uneducated, we have certain groups who practice tribalism. But you have educated, rich Africans, wealthy, who are still practicing tribalism. That's very odd, and that's something that needs to be addressed.
Are you? Hello?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Are you looking at the chat room?
Hold on. A little bit.
Black Analogy says the irony is BAIO talks down about indigenous people. Sounds hypocritical. What indigenous people is he referring to?
What are you referring to, Black Analogy?
Oh, is he talking about the Pretendians?
I don't know. Probably. Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, guilty as charged.
Pretending. Yeah. Guilty as charged. Guilty as
Go on. Go on.
yeah. I am guilty. but why is that? Do we just have an issue that we want to fit in? We're so desperate to fit in that we'll just choose to ignore racism, but blame and deflect the tribalism?
Yes, I think um it's a number of factors to me. A number of factors is and I was thinking about this the other day too. I think ultimately, and Minister DeWoo did a show on this one time where he was talking about fear of confrontation. And confrontation doesn't necessarily mean a physical confrontation. It's just confrontation in general. They fear ultimately competing on the world stage against other ethnic groups. And I won't even say the white man, because the white man is not the only group, competing for power in the world stage. But we're just afraid to come together as a people and compete on the world stage against other races of people. Why? I guess that's another show. I mean, what do you think the reason is? I think you're talking about centuries of brainwashing and self-hatred and not having control of your own situation. It's just a intergenerational thing to me that's been carried down, you know, to where we are right now.
I mean, this is the thing. I think we have to. I mean, okay. So hold up. I have this right here in front of me. All right. This is called a Sony Xperia Z2. All right. It's a cell phone. I have access to the planet on this cell phone. Everything I want to learn from the beginning of time to now is on this cell phone. Everything I want to learn about colonialism, racism, tribalism, you know, how Africa's carved up, I can learn right here. So we got to stop using this excuse of brainwashing and we just don't know any better and white supremacy and all of this stuff when you have access to the information.
Right.
Like, you cannot be a so-called educated person with the cell phone. You pay T-Mobile $80 a month. Okay, you got a damn near $1,000 device, but you want to sit here and play stupid. Okay, you want to call you, and this is the thing, you want to call yourself educated, brag about your degrees, how you went to this school, how you're educated in this Western institution, but play stupid when it comes to racism and how it's affecting people today. That's the thing. It's like you have no excuse when you have access to the information. Holip. That's where I'm at now.
But it's my position that it's not like they don't know. They're pretending that they don't know. That's my position. Because and I'll prove it. When you talk about, like, you have people that say, "Oh, why you always got to talk about that black stuff?"
Right.
Why are you always talking about, we got this system of white supremacy and people is out to destroy us? That's just a figment of your imagination. That's in your own mind, blah, 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 blah. But then those same people will turn around and go, if you don't stop saying what you're saying, somebody's going to hurt you. Like, well, wait, whoa, hold on. Who's going to hurt me? You said that what I'm talking about doesn't exist.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like if you really pay attention, they'll catch themselves in contradictions. Like, take for instance the pretendians, right?
Right.
When Kanye West came out and said that slavery was a choice, they came out and agreed with him.
Right.
Not realizing that, wait a minute, we're not Africans. Oops, sorry. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't even have a clear-cut ideology, and they keep contradicting themselves all the time in their stances because they can't keep it straight. They know what's going on. And another thing I want to address is, why do we have pretendians in these forums? Where's the pretendian forum that has all the energy surrounding it? Why are they not in their own forums and have thousands of hundreds of people listening to them? They always have to come into the African forums and then talk that, wait, we're not African. Well, if you're not African, what are you doing in an African forum? Why are you surrounding yourself with nationalists? You know why? I'll explain. I'll give. It's a rhetorical question, and I'll give the answer to it. It's because nobody's listening to you. Nobody cares what you have to say. You have no energy. So then where do you go? You go to where the energy is. And that's basically what it is. It's like these people are pretending that they don't know what's going on. And I'm talking, like, to get back to the continental African in the title of this show. They know what's happening. But when you know what's happening, then you have to address what's happening. So if you don't want to address what's happening, the best strategy is to ignore it or pretend that it doesn't exist or to come up with some other title for it. And it's as simple as that. It's not really that complicated. It's like they know exactly what's going on, but the thing is, they don't want to address it, because by knowing what's going on and acknowledging it, then you're going to have to do something about it. And this is the problem that runs concurrent with all Africans across the globe, especially on the continent and here in America.
Let's see what we got going on in the chat room.
Somebody saying I'm not African. Well, if I'm not African, what does it have to do with you? If you're not African, why are you in this forum? I already gave the answer to the question. We already know why you're here, because nobody's listening to you. So you have to come into Dynaz forum because he has popularity. People are listening to Dynaz. People are listening to Dynaz guests. Nobody's listening to you. So you have to be here. I understand. So sit back in the chat room and just listen to the show and enjoy yourself. And happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July. Somebody, Hojin K makes a great point. Blacks, especially continental Africans, are a race under amnesia. Now, I mean, pretty much whatever country you are living in Africa has been divided up, and its borders were drawn by Europeans. Colonialism just ended, what, maybe 50 years ago, of even that? And you Negroes celebrate Independence Day every year, but you're still under racial amnesia? I mean, come on, we stop the show. Stop the show. Hold up. You all celebrate your independence from Queen Elizabeth every fucking year, but you want to play stupid on what racism is. Does that make sense, Holip?
Absolutely not. But it makes sense to
now. I mean, again, let me paint the picture, Holip. So, you know, again, we'll just use Nana Nkrumah. I mean, Kwame Nkrumah as an example. You know, he gets the phone call or the letter from, I don't know, the British general of the Gold Coast Protectorate, whatever it's called. You know, to let him know, like, hey, we're going to allow you Negroes to manage your own country. You know, he gets happy and, you know, starts, you know, dancing, and he's excited, right? Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, he gets a call from Queen Elizabeth, and Queen Elizabeth said, hey, I'm going to show up to the airport on Friday, this day, this time. Be ready for me. So, you know, they plan a parade, you know, let's get Independence Square together and nice and neat. Let's pull up in my black, nice, shiny convertible Cadillac or Lincoln. You know, they pick her up at the airport, drive around the city, you know, have a, you know, celebration and parade, you know, to celebrate the end of colonialism. then listen, you go up the coast, right? You have slave dungeons everywhere where Africans were sold or kidnapped and shipped over here to America. So you have all these reminders. You celebrate your independence every year from Europe, from England, from France, from the Portuguese. But you want to play dumb and act like you don't understand what racism is. That's where I'm lost.
Well, like I said, they're not playing dumb. They are intentionally ignoring the reality because it's harder to deal with the reality. I mean, that's what they feel. They feel that it's harder to deal with the reality. I personally feel that when you know what reality is, no matter how harsh it is, you can deal with it better when you acknowledge it. That's just my personal opinion. Instead of sitting back pretending that, you know, oh, racism doesn't exist, the white man is not the problem, you are the problem. Yeah, okay, whatever. If that helps you have a good dinner or lunch with your white colleagues, knock yourself out. If that's what you need to help you digest your turkey or pastrami sandwich, knock yourself out. But we know what time it is, and you know what time it is. Yeah, and you know, oh God, go ahead. I'm not going to address these idiots.
No, address them.
No, because it's like,
oh well, Mr. Punisher, yeah, let them go ahead and troll.
Yeah, I can't do it.
But see, this is the thing. This is the thing about you indigenous pretending Facebook aboriginals. Okay, you come to me. I am an indigenous Cherokee from Turtle Island. I am from Turtle Island. I am indigenous from Turtle Island. Cherokee, Navajo, Black Aboriginal from Turtle Island. Okay, so what's your name? John Williams. My name is John Williams. I'm an original. My name is John Williams. What's your dad's name? Lamar Williams. What's your grandfather's name? Todd Williams.
Wow. That
Right.
Williams had a lot of slaves,
Here we
didn't they?
go. Here we go. Okay, say hello to me in your native language. Um, um, where's your damn reservation, your casino? So your name is John Williams from Turtle Island. You don't speak the language. You have no reservation. You get absolutely no benefits from the government. You're not recognized. I mean, you guys got to be the laziest. Because I mean, this is one thing. Okay, let me give me a couple minutes. Hold. I got to go in on this. We could talk about the Hebrew Israelites. We could talk about the Nuwabians. I mean, we could talk about all these groups. At least they take the time, the effort, and the energy to learn the culture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you say about the Hebrew Israelites. They get on their costumes or whatever the hell they wear. You know,
The Wonder Woman bracelets.
well, Wonder Woman bracelets. You know, He-Man, She-Ra situations. You know, they put it on. They wear it with pride. You know, I don't care what you say about Nuwapians. They put on their Egyptian shit. They try to learn, you know, the language, metaneta, whatever you want to call it, Nuwapic. All these groups take the time and energy out to at least reconnect to some culture. You dusty, lazy, pretendians, Aboriginals are so dusty and fucking lazy that you Negroes won't even take the time out to connect to the culture. I mean, at least with these Hebrews and these Nuwabians, they'll change their names, they'll go learn the culture or a culture, they'll go learn the language, they'll adopt something. You Negroes are so lazy and dusty and just ignorant that you don't even take the time out to do any of that.
And let's add this. You're not in your own forum. And the reason why you're not in your own forum is because no one is listening to you. So you have to come into Dynas forum. You got to come into Holip's forum. You got to come into Kala's forum. You got to come to any nationalist forum to preach whatever pretendian bullshit that you preaching, because that's the only way anybody's going to hear it, because no one's listening to you. No one's listening to you.
Somebody
Who's
said, we
listening
are
to
the
you?
culture. We don't need to learn it. The culture I see is nothing but Black American, descendant of the slave trade culture. That's all I see. Again, if you're so serious about you being indigenous and Aboriginal, take the time out. Stop being a lazy Aboriginal, a lazy pretendian. Learn your language, okay? Learn your culture and practice it. Don't come to me. You are an indigenous Aboriginal from Turtle Island, and you got on a Jerome Bettis throwback jersey, and your name is and your name is John Williams.
Yeah, and you eating hog mogs and
You eat
fried chicken and
hog,
collard greens.
you know, you eating Philly cheesesteaks. Uh, you know, you at Sylvia's, you know, eating greens and smothered pork chops with gravy. And I can't stand, that's why I can't stand you Negroes. Thank you. Learn to cook one Aboriginal indigenous dish.
Yeah. Do you even know one?
No.
Do you even know one? And like I said, thank you for participating in Dynas Forum. I hope you're a subscriber, because we're trying to get him to 30,000. That's the next benchmark. So thank you for being a subscriber. Thank you for being in the chat room and listening. And thank you for contributing to his numbers, because that's all you really do. That's all you really do. You contribute to the Black nationalist and African Senate progressive numbers, no matter how much you troll in the chat room. So please stay and enjoy your 4th of July. Enjoy your holiday.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. But yeah, but I mean, it's just I'm just tired. We'll get back on the on topic. I'm just tired of these lazy ass indigenous pretendian Facebook Indians. And man, and it's to the point. Let me show you something. Hold up, I got to share the screen. Let me show you something.
Go for it. Peace to everybody. I'm sorry if I missed your shout out. I'm looking in the chat room and not looking in it at the same time. So that's why when I see something that catches my eye. But thanks for the shout outs, y'all.
Hold on, let me pull something up. I got to pull this up. Let me tell you how lazy you indigenous Negroes are, and then we're going to get back on topic.
There you go.
I'm just going to show you how lazy you indigenous pretendians are. Just the all around lazy. You guys are just all around the laziest group. Here we go. Let me share the screen real quick.
It's like I don't even want to block them because it's so entertaining.
No, don't block them. Don't block them.
It's so entertaining having them in the chat room.
I want them to see this. Hold on. This is how lazy you guys are. I mean, hold up. This right here, okay? See Gucci Mane with the Olmec helmet on? You see Gucci Mane with the Olmec helmet on?
And what's that? Ice cream on the side of his face?
Yeah, that's his tattoo.
Okay.
These Negroes are so lazy that scholarship is taking a picture, all right, of like LeBron James and applying his picture next to the Olmec statue. That's their proof that they're Aboriginal.
Wow. And
brother,
then
see
LeBron
James' nose is as big as the Olmec statue's nose. Brother, we are, bro, that's proof enough.
Dinaz, do you notice that when you get on them, they cry and bitch and moan?
Tell them to shut up. Stop crying.
They cry like victims. Like here Lost Indigenous Nation says you putting us all in one box. Wow. If that's not the most ironic statement that I've read in like this year, really? Nobody gets put into a box more than Black nationalists.
But what's crazy, they will go to collagemaker.com, collage maker. All right. They will get a picture of the Olmec statue, put it in one box. They get a picture of LeBron James and put him in the other box to say, this is proof that we are the original Olmecans.
Yeah, I seen it. I seen them do Tommy Davis.
Clowns, bro. I mean, they don't cook any dishes. I mean, come on. So here we go. Let me break it down. Let me unpackage it. Holip.
Mm-hmm.
You are an indigenous Olmecan Aboriginal from Turtle Island who wears Jerome Bettis, Mitchell, and Ness throwback jerseys. Your name is John Williams. You enjoy eating greens and potato salad and pork ribs. You don't speak any of your fucking language. You have no reservation, no casino, no nothing. You walk around here like the regular American Negro, but you want to sit here and try to debate me on how you're an Aboriginal. And the thing is, you lazy Negroes don't even take the time out to at least learn the language, find out what dishes you have, like come up with a damn dish. You know, because the Hebrew Israelites over here where I live in the West End, you know, they got different names to their dishes. You know, I mean, just you niggas are so lazy. You don't even attempt to immerse yourself or celebrate the culture. You just want to run around and just be weird Negroes, cosplay Negroes, cosplay Aboriginal Negroes. That's what you are. You are a cosplay pretendian. Like here in Atlanta, they have the cosplay, you know, these sci-fi geeks get dressed up like Street Fighter and Chun-Li and, you know, but see, the difference is they at least take the time out, learn about the characters, you know, they get into full character mode. You Negroes are so lazy. So damn lazy that you don't even want to do that. You just want to be Aboriginals by title, but be just a regular American Negro.
Yo, just to build on what you're saying, when I used to work at this place like maybe 10 years ago, and there was a brother there, his name was Michael. And this brother knew um he knew Mandarin Chinese and Cantonese. It was crazy. I mean, he was fluent with it. Fluent. So we used to go to Chinese restaurants with him just to like fuck with them. It was the funniest thing because they would bug out when they heard him speak their language better than they do. So he took the time out to learn this. You know what I mean? And like you said, these guys don't even want to take the time out to learn about anything. Like I said, where's the native indigenous forums that these guys are in every day? Oh, and I have to address this.
Bro,
There's a dude in the chat room named.
Hold up, real quick. Not to cut you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I've been in their forums. You want to know what goes on in the forums?
What?
You want to know what intellectual conversations happening in their forums? The LeBron James copy and paste. That's the extent of what's going on in the forum. So I mean, that can be only entertaining for so long.
How many people are actually in the forum? That's what I'm curious to know.
Dude, there's some people in there, but again, you know, you can't really build, or I mean, unless you're just slow. I mean, anybody with any common sense, all right. I mean, the extent of the conversations that they have, the builds, the intellectualism in their forums is the LeBron James copy and paste. So they have to come over here. They have to. Yeah. Or that and the slave trade happened in reverse.
Oh, well, you know what? I want to ask you a question after I address this. There's a clown in the chat room called Mr. Punisher.
Right.
And he says, I'd rather be eating that than sleeping in the damn safari or some mud hut or getting my neighborhood ransacked by some terrorist African gang. And my response to that is, you're a goddamn liar. You know why? Because you're right here in this forum surrounded by Africans. Right. So you're a liar. You're a liar. You'll be right with us just like you are right now. Now, my question to you, Dundas.
Go ahead.
Now, how did the European get to the Americas?
By boat.
Where are the ships?
Oh, here we go. I know exactly where this is going. Okay, hold up. All right. Growing up, right, in Sacramento, California in the 80s, right? My grandmother, okay, had an 8-track player. Okay, if you ask me where this 8-track player is, I have no clue. So because we can't find the 8-track player or the 8 tracks, does that mean that 8-track players and 8 tracks never existed?
But I noticed
why in the hell would we want to keep an 8-track player and some 8 tracks when we got MP3s? You know, we went from 8-track to cassette to in fact, hold up. Do you still have your cassette collection?
No.
But you know what, hold up, since you don't have your cassette collection, cassettes never existed.
Right.
So what's the purpose of keeping these old ass dusty ships, all right, when the technology improved?
But I noticed that they never asked the question for the white man. They only ask that question when it comes to us. Where's the white man's ships to prove that he came from, you know, over in Europe and came here? Where's the ships at? Oh, so another thing, one guy, his name is Smooth AB. I'm assuming that means ass bandit or something. If you think you African, then go home and shut up. No, we're African and we're in an African forum. If you don't think you're African, get the hell out of the forum, you bitch ass nigga. See, they're not used to this. They're not used to it. They're used to saying whatever they want to say and doing whatever they want to do, and they get absolutely no pushback and no blowback. But let me tell you something. You're in an African forum right now. You're in an African forum right now. So if you don't like what we talking, take your pretending ass out of our forum and go to your forum. Oh, right, that's right. There's nobody there. Welcome to our forum.
Because I mean, we're basically having a conversation. We're basically having the conversation that they're going to have in the forum anyway. LeBron James is the Olmec. Where are the slave ships? And the slave trade happened in reverse. That's the extent of their conversation, of their discourse.
Welcome.
That's the extent.
Welcome, Lost Indigenous Nation. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
I'm very emotional. I get so emotional, and I do, because I'm in hysterics laughing. That's an emotion. Laughter is an emotion. But anyway, it's not racism, it's tribalism. Dynas, who have you heard that from recently? Like, is there somebody, like an example you could provide of a recently, or like an interaction that you had with somebody?
Still, I would say this. The good thing is it's somewhat dying down. I think some Africans are starting to wake up, but you're still dealing with a lot of tribalism issues, like in Nigeria. And it's like, listen, Black people, okay, you cannot operate a functioning nation and you're still dealing with tribalism. Again, Europeans came together, Asians came together, everybody came together, all right? But you're still on some tribalism shit. Like, you cannot function as a serious nation. No one's going to take you serious. You cannot function under tribalism, and you're still dealing with tribalism. And then, but the thing is, Holip, some people will get offended and say, oh, well, you don't understand tribalism, you don't understand Africa. I'm like, dude, it's 2018, right? And you're still dealing with tribalism, and you can't move forward, okay, and make the moves that you need to make in order to, I would say, truly function as a nation. Like, Nigeria should be Dubai times 20. But again, you're dealing with tribalism. You're dealing with, I would say, multinational companies who care less about the best interests of Nigerians, who are pretty much pulling the strings. I said today, like, I had a conversation with somebody yesterday. Won't Nigeria, because I mean, you have Nigerians here in America now who are proud about being the self-appointed, I'm sorry, not self-appointed, but, just recently they are now considered the model minority by white people, the Nigerians. So you have Nigerians who are more proud about being the model minority here in America than building some type of bridge back to Nigeria to build up Nigeria. And it's all centered around tribalism and just dusty politics that poor people participate in.
I think I want to ask you a question, since you've been on the content frequently. Do you think that the problem is that because of these few leaders or few people who benefit the most from the current situation, do you think that the people have the willpower to take these people out of office like they did the African Americans in Liberia?
Oh, you just made a great point. Until they get white daddy's permission, no. Just like in Liberia. Until white daddy comes in and says, hey, you guys have the green light, the answer is no. So because don't be confused. What happened in Zimbabwe, they had to get permission from white daddy in order to remove your boy, the leader of Zimbabwe. Somebody help me out.
I'm drawing a blank too. Mugabe?
Mugabe, exactly. They had to get permission before that happened from Europe. Don't get it twisted. So do they have the will? Yes, but until they get permission from somebody in France or Europe or here in America, they can't do it.
Wow.
I mean, that's just the facts.
Wow. So then I mean, to be honest with you, if the people don't want something to happen, it's generally not going to happen.
Correct. Without getting white daddy's permission.
Yeah.
Because white daddy needs to protect his interest in these countries. Right. That's the thing. So they have to sit down with White Daddy. White Daddy has to say, hey, look, you can go ahead. I approve the coup. But this interest, that interest, this oil field, this gold mine, these natural resources, they are not to be touched. They are still ours. If you can agree to that, then you can do whatever you want.
That's pretty discouraging. That's pretty discouraging. So they only had the energy. I guess White Daddy gave them the permission for Liberia.
Yeah, it's been documented. Somebody sent me some documents the other day. CIA greenlighted that.
Oh, of course, yeah. That is anybody denying that at this point? Are there people that's still in denial about that?
I don't know, but somebody, in fact, I got to pull up these. Let me see here. I have to pull up somebody. Like I said, somebody messaged me. In fact, it's actually. Hold on, I think I have it right here. Hold on, somebody had messaged me. Here we go. CIA involvement in Liberia. Fam, I'm gonna go ahead and post this link in the chat room.
Please do.
Yeah, Doe got green light, because you got to think about it, Holip. So after Doe leads the coup, he goes to the White House and meets Ronald Reagan and has a welcome, hey, you have made it. When they bring the leaders in and parade them around and all that stuff. That's what immediately happens after the coup. He flies right to the White House and sits down and eats, cheese and crackers with Ronald Reagan.
Let's see. I'm looking at it right now. Come on. Oh, we got the documents.
Yep.
The Libertarian coup d'etat, its impact on economic and security assistance.
Yeah. Yeah, bro, it's right there.
Yeah. I hope y'all guys are clicking on that link and checking this out.
Yeah. It was all CIA backed and sponsored. So again, they have to get permission if they want to if they want to make moves. They have to get permission from White Daddy first, because you're not going to get in the way or disturb White Daddy's interests in your country. Period.
Amin Ra says, I disagree. Africans are totally in charge of their country. Whites don't control anything in Africa anymore.
Amin Ra, I love you, but that's not the case. It's not.
Actually, Amin Ra, no disrespect to you, because I definitely appreciate you, fam. If that is true, I'll play devil's advocate, then it's even sadder than we think. Because if you're saying that there's no white control anywhere in Africa, then my question is, why isn't Africa united?
You there?
Why? Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, why? Why are they not united?
If that's not true, why does America have military bases on Africa?
Right.
If that's not true, I mean, I know specifically in Kenya, I know the British, they pretty much train the Kenyan troops.
In defense of Amin Ra, at a certain point, Africans need to willing to take a bullet against white folks. They do it with each other. That's Leo D. Hey, man, I got no problem with that. My problem is people want to go to the bullets and the dying and the killing stuff without going to the organizing stuff first. And I think that's my main problem. If you don't have the energy to organize, I doubt if you have the willpower and the energy to launch a sustained campaign against anybody warfare wise. I mean, we're talking about basic organization, and we don't even want to do that. You know what I'm saying, Dinas?
I mean, shoot, France control like these West African French countries. France still controls their monetary system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can look that up. That's a fact. The SAFA.
USD rules.
In fact, hold on 1 second. I'm going to show you something. I got a SAFA in my wallet. All right, everybody. So this is 10,000 SAFA, right? Basically, this money is printed for the most part, is controlled by France. And this money, from what I understand, is loaned from France to these West African nations. But you want to know what the irony is, Holip? You want to know what the irony is?
Yes.
If I go to France and try to spend this as is, it's looked at like toilet paper.
Really?
You only could spend this or exchange this in SAFA countries that use the SAFA.
Wow.
And you guys can look that up.
Wait a minute. Amira says Africa is united. It just isn't perfect. I'm really curious to know how he's coming to that conclusion. And I'm being serious. I know I'm a sarcastic asshole most of the time, but I'm not being that now. I really seriously want to know what he means by that. They're united. How? Like, we can't even, can we get a high-speed rail going through Africa?
I think they're building one in Ethiopia, but again, Chinese daddy has to come build it. In fact, here we go. Hold up. The African Union building was built by the Chinese. And there was an article released last year where the Chinese had bugged it, right? And the French found out that it was bugged. So the Chinese were eavesdropping in African Union business. Which brings me to another thing, which was going to be the original topic of the show. The Chinese are our friends. They're not our enemy. They're just there to do business. So an article was released last week how China is increasing their military presence in Africa.
Or our level of not, and once again, is it naivete? Is it really? Are we really that naive to believe that everybody? See, I'm one of those people that say, like, if you want to interact and deal with China, I'm not anti dealing with China, but my thing is Chinese have an agenda, and people shouldn't be like not losing sleep over the fact that the Chinese have an agenda. What they should be losing sleep over is the fact that we don't. That's what they should be losing sleep. What is the African agenda in Africa? What is the African agenda in Africa? Can somebody in the chat room please point it out to me? Or do you need like a half hour or an hour dissertation in order to do it?
But what's crazy, Holip, you had Africans that wanted to argue with me on how China is their friend, that they're just over there doing business. And I told them, look, do you really think China is going to invest all of this money, okay, into Africa, put you guys into more debt, right? And that if something was to happen, they weren't going to come and collect. So China is increasing their military presence in Africa.
Mm-hmm. It's called strategic positioning.
Yeah, strategic positioning.
That's what it's called. Also,
I mean, you got to think
how
about
many black dynasts? Do you remember when Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton set up their office in Harlem and how black people were so excited about that?
And let me tell you what happened. right after that happened, didn't black people start getting gentrified out of Harlem?
Yep. I was just about to say that. Look at Harlem now. Harlem used to be the place that, seriously, back in the days, I would go because my girlfriend at the time was in Harlem. So I used to be in Harlem all the time.
Right.
And Harlem was the spot, man, especially during the summertime. There was no, like I used to say, this used to be the case with New York, although it's not the case anymore. If I had hit the Powerball lottery, I became some filthy rich person and I left New York and I went and moved somewhere else, no matter be it anywhere else in the country or somewhere overseas, I would still come back to New York during the summertime because that's how great New York was during the summertime. The energy in New York City during the summertime, I have yet to experience anywhere else.
Right.
It was just, it's I can't even describe it to you, but it's some place that you want it to be. It's not that anymore. Those days are long gone. And Harlem used to have this energy to it as well, like just going out on 125th Street, seeing all of the vendors there. It just had this real, it was like Africa in the city. That's the best way I can describe it. And now going to Harlem is no different than going to 34th Street. All you're going to see is the major chain stores like Old Navy and, I mean, just name them. Whatever.
I think I saw like a Foot Locker or Jimmy's.
Yeah, Foot Locker, Best Buy, and the rest of that crap. That's all you're going to see there. But what happened before that? We were so excited to get a Clinton in Harlem, and now you basically been gentrified right out of Harlem. And so we have these real world examples to look to. Is the African on the continent not seeing this? And that's just on a small level. The Chinese definitely have an interest in Africa, and they have a reason for their strategic positioning to be in Africa. So the question is, and I've gotten back to this before, I'll ask it again. I don't know if anybody answered the question that I asked, but what is the African agenda in Africa? What is the end game in Africa? Because we've already asked what's the end game in America. And I think that the BAIO has come up with the answer to that. What's the end game in Africa? If Africa is united, which Amin-Ra says that they are, and I'm not going to, fight him on that. I'm just questioning how he's coming to that conclusion. But let's just say we're going to accept that that's the case. What's the African agenda, and how is that running parallel to the Chinese agenda?
You made a great point. How can you have an African agenda, but you need China to build your infrastructure?
You're right. Why is Chinese involved anyway?
Why is China involved in the African agenda?
Oh, Bell is here.
Shout out to Bell.
Oh, so we don't have to worry about the coons now. We ain't got to worry about that. Chat room is regulated now. Bell is in the house.
But you just made a great point, Holip. How can we have an African agenda if China is building the African agenda? If China is loaning and supplying and fronting the resources and tools needed for the African agenda.
And why? Is part of the African agenda getting Africans to do this work? Or or is it just a given that you have to let the Chinese build your infrastructure? Is that just a given? I mean, if you had an agenda, let's say you have to have the Chinese build certain infrastructures or so that you can have people learn from the Chinese. And then after a certain point, you take over and you start doing the building. If that's an agenda, I can get with that. I can get how you would operate and deal with China as long as there's an end game involved. But it seems to me as if the Chinese just building your own shit is just, that's just what they do.
Hold up, you just brought up a great point. How can you have an African agenda when China is fronting everything for the agenda, and when your money If you're a West African French-speaking country, your money is controlled by the French. You're safer.
Oh
So how
Lord.
can you have an African agenda?
Should we have one? You know, it's so funny that I'm asking these questions now in relationship to Africa, because it's the same questions that I keep asking for the African here in America. Should the Africans have an agenda for Africa? Should they? I mean, is that just something that we just assume that Africans should have an agenda for their own land and their own own continent? I mean, I really want to know, do people feel that they should have an agenda? Or are you just comfortable with everybody else having an agenda, strategically positioning themselves all over the continent for their own agenda? That's why I don't understand, like Dynas, when you really think about it, like when we get amongst ourselves, when there's less, when we don't have pretendians around us and all these other groups whose ideologies run just, you know, diametrically opposed to what we're talking about. When we get amongst each other, there's very little fighting and arguing on the the black nationalist, African Senate progressive side. Like if you look in the BAIO, it's no, like I would say 100% of the discussions going on there. There's really is no backfighting and going at each other.
Can I interject real quick? Hold up.
Sure.
Okay, so I don't know if you've been following, but I've been having this debate on Facebook with some of my black friends in California who are part of the Black and Brown Coalition and the We As All Minorities Coalition.
Oh Lord, yeah.
Right. So I see a lot of that propaganda that's being spread throughout Africa when it comes to China. So people are justifying what China is doing because that's going to put the white man in place and get rid of white supremacy. The same way that a lot of my black friends who, let's just keep it real, have been beaten into submission to the point where instead of jockeying for positions under white supremacy, they want to jockey for position under LGBTQ supremacy, feminism supremacy, brown supremacy, yellow supremacy. But at the end of the day, you're going to be under LGBTQ supremacy. You're going to be under feminism supremacy, and you're going to be under Hispanic, Latino, or Asian supremacy in California. And that's what you're jockeying to be under position for. Now, they might be nicer than, I guess, it might be, the system might be a little bit more nicer than white supremacy, but you're still under a system of non-black supremacy. So to all my people who are just excited about China and how they're getting rid of white supremacy, okay, I'll give that to you. But you're still gonna be under a system of Chinese supremacy. That's not a win for Africa.
Can I make it street?
Go ahead, make it street.
You a hoe looking for another pimp. That's your basic ideology. Your ideology is I don't have the capacity, the mental capacity, or the willpower to control my own destiny. So what I'm trying to do is find a nigga who gonna hook me up and treat me the best. And then, and now when you take a whole position, don't get shocked when you get treated like a hoe.
Right.
Now, if you're willing to be treated like a hoe, then take the whole position. But don't take the whole position and then expect respect on top of it. That makes you a fool. And you're going to find out how much of a fool you are. It's like that analogy that I always use about white people and their dogs. White people love their dogs. You know, they groom their dogs. They have all types of things, especially I know they do it in California, but even here in Brooklyn, they have all of these high-end places for their dogs to get treatments and stuff like that. They give them the best foods, and some of the dogs eat better than humans eat. But when that family sits down at the table and they all getting ready to eat, and that dog jumps up on one of the chairs and tries to eat from a bowl on the table, everybody in the family gonna throw shit at that dog to get it off the goddamn table. Because the dog is, despite the so-called love that the family has for the dog has to know its place. And your place is not at the table with us. Your place is down there on the floor with your bowl. And for the life of me, I can't understand why Black folks don't get that. Like, why are you trying to skirt around socioeconomic and political control over your own reality? Why are you trying to come up with every excuse to justify not having that? And then you try to rationalize it, you try to intellectualize it, you try to debate with that. When the answer is simple, have your own shit.
But
Why are we still having a conversation? I'm telling you, this has been a source of my frustration for years, man. A source of my frustration for years. Why are we still having a conversation on land, infrastructure, and nationhood? Why are we still talking about this? The fact that we still having an intellectual debate and a conversation about it shows it's a lot of scared niggas out here. They just terrified. They scared. That's why I love. Can I just put it aside here,
go
because
ahead.
I want to do this on a positive note. I don't want to just bitch and moan.
Okay,
You know, one of the things that's making me really happy right now
go ahead.
in the BAIO, there are groups. We developed chapters, state chapters, and in each chapter, you have people in that state talking to each other. Right now in the BAIO, you have people in Atlanta talking to each other, trying to hook up Google Hangouts so that they can meet each other and find out places where they can meet physically to talk to each other. You got people in California doing it. You got people in Texas doing it. So right now, the BAIO is what I originally intended for it to be, completely, or out of the control of the administrators, where the people are starting to jump in and take control over the forum. So I don't have no control over what's happening in Georgia. I don't have no control over what's happening in Texas and California. The people are determining what they're going to do amongst themselves. And they're getting together and they're talking about land, they talk about infrastructure, they're talking about nationhood. So everything is coming together and organizing in an organic way. And that's why I'm ultimately, despite all of the frustration that I feel, I'm so happy right now. Because it's not about me. And it's like, and it just validates everything that I've been saying, everything that Carla's been saying, ministers been saying within the BAIO. It's not about us. It was never about us. Because we can choose to do whatever the hell we want to do personally, and it doesn't really affect the BAIO, because the BAIO is a concept, it's a principle. And right now, it's a groundswell of people starting to embrace those principles, and it's only going to get larger, and it's only going to grow more out of control. And the reason why nobody knows what to do with it or knows what to do with us is that there's no head to take off. There's no head to take off. And it's a beautiful thing, man. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm happy right now, man. I'm happy right now. And it looks like, brother, you guys in Georgia are probably going to be the first people to do a meet and greet.
Yeah.
That's what it's looking like. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to see it.
People, can we please get the likes up? All right, can we hit that like button, please? And
yes.
Super chats, Bell, Brian Cole, Akatunde Bolden. Thank you for the super chats. But what's more even confusing, not even confusing, but crazy or depressing, is that if you look how, and this is coming from a black descendant of slave trade here in America perspective. So again, my friends in California, they think that, it's going to be this black and brown coalition, and, they're going to sit at the table with the brown and the yellow, and, everything's going to be 50-50, and they're going to be concerned about the issues of the black community. But if you look how black people are treated in the countries of where the brown and yellow come from, It's like, do you really think they're going to want to sit at the table with you and split everything 50-50, and we're going to have this minority coalition where we're going to where we're going to be so concerned about what's going on in the Black community? They think that that's going to happen.
Mm.
I don't know. Like these, I don't know.
Once again, it's not a miscommunication. It's not that they don't know what's happening.
And
They know exactly what.
somebody in the chat room said, ask Black folks in Miami how the Black and Latino coalition turned out. So from my understanding, when the Cubans first came to Miami, you know, like just because it's just in our nature as Black people, we helped them shut up shop. You know, they came into Black communities, we helped them out. But then, like I said, here comes the Latino supremacy. You know what, Black man, you know, you helped us out, but do you speak Spanish? No.
Mm.
Well, I'm sorry, brother. We can't give you opportunity. Sorry. I know we were refugees running from the evil so-called dictatorship of Castro, but brother, you know, I know you helped us out, but since you don't speak Spanish and since you don't look like us, white Latinos, go on back to Carroll City.
Coalition. You know, oh, you know what? Thank you. Thank you. There's something, actually, this was one of the topics that when we were talking about what we were going to talk about, this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about.
Go ahead.
But I'll tell you about it now. I was recently listening, and because keep in mind, I don't listen to a lot of anything outside of nationhood forums. I'm really not listening to.
Mhm.
But one time, it was sometime this week, I listened to Tone Talks, a video of Tone Talks. I think he's one of the people that's down with Yvette Carnell.
Right, right.
And so I clicked on, you know, some of the links on his channel to check out his content. And what I noticed is that him and Yvette Carnell, basically, you remember that email that I sent you called the Captain America Negro Burial?
Yes.
Almost all of the information, the so-called data that they talk about, is in that email that I sent to you. And I thought, wow, so you're looking at the same data that I'm looking at, but the conclusions and the analysis that we're drawing from that data is completely different. So one of the questions that I had to ask, because their position is they go through the same data that I just showed you, and they look at that data and they go, see, this means that Black people don't have no money. We don't have no power here in America. So how do you expect us So so obviously we need help from the government. Wow, like just that whole transition from that to that just blows my mind. But I'm just going to accept that. My question to you is, all right, I'm assuming you're talking about reparations from the government. I'm going to make that assumption. I don't know, so I'm not going to, misrepresent their position. But if you're saying that we are in this trouble as Black people in America and we need help from the government, I'm assuming you mean reparations from the government.
I think they mean reparations. You're talking about Yvette and Tone, correct?
Yeah. Okay. Now my question to you is this: what's your leverage to get those reparations? Is anybody a follower of these people? Or maybe if you're not a follower, maybe they've talked about it on their shows, because I haven't listened to it.
Yeah, I
but
mean,
what's your leverage?
We brought up Yvette and Tone on here before, but I don't think there's too many followers. I mean, they might listen in. The only thing we could leverage, I mean, you're right. Was it the bus boycotts in Memphis and Montgomery? Right.
Yeah.
We leveraged our labor.
Right. Can we leverage our labor now?
We can, but we won't.
And we really can't, because there's a lot of groups that have more positioning in terms of labor above us. where they can get labor for really, really cheaper than the African American.
This is where I disagree. Let's deal with entertainment and sports. I guarantee you, if every black college football player, every black NFL player, every black college basketball player, every black professional basketball player said, "Hey, we're not playing until this is addressed," people will listen.
Oh, well, yeah, I agree with you there. We don't even have a disagreement then.
Okay.
If you're talking about entertainment, because that's something that I believe that we do have some control over,
Right?
Because that we dominate that. But I'm talking about the labor market in general. People get their labor. They get their labor from these cheap overseas outsourcing and all this other bullshit. So we don't really have a strong leverage there.
Mm-hmm.
But in the certain industries that you're talking about, I definitely agree with that. But to get back to the point of leverage,
Right?
I don't know if anybody ever saw it. There was this Brandon Lee, who was Bruce Lee's son. He did a movie years ago called Rapid Fire.
Okay.
And at the beginning of the movie, there was a scene where this Italian mobster and his dudes went to China, I believe. It was either China or Korea, well, one of those Asian countries. And they were negotiating some type of deal. And the Chinese declined the deal. And he said something to the Italian guy in Chinese, and then he walked off. And so his interpreter, the Italian guy had an interpreter, and he asked him, well, what did he just say? And he said, the Chinese guy said, never ask for something that you don't have the ability to take. And even though that was just it was a small movie, it was nothing particularly, memorable or fantastic about it. I remember that scene. And I remember that quote. See,
That's
this
a
is
very
the thing.
powerful quote.
This is the thing that you get Arnold and Tone Talks and the rest of these people who, and I finally figured out what DOS means, because I was like, what the hell is DOS?
Descendant of slave trade.
Yeah, I know. But what they don't understand is this. When you ask for something to people in power, you think you're asking for something and you're giving options. They look at the asking as a threat. So the first thing they're thinking about when you ask for something is, well, since I'm not going to give it to you, what are you going to do about it? And I look at it, and I just want to explain where I'm coming from so people get an idea of what I'm talking about when I say leverage. When an Italian, if you have, let's say you have a business, and an Italian mobster walks into your business with a suit on. He has two other guys with suits. They're well dressed. Their hair's done. Everything is immaculate on them. They're coming in. They're saying hi. They're shaking your hand. They're very friendly. They're very polite and cordial. But their mere presence in your store is a threat. No matter how much they try to be nice, no matter how much they dress it up, when they come to you, the presence of them in that store is a threat to your business. Because what they're telling you basically is, we want you to give us this money so we can protect you. We're looking out for you. We want to protect you and make sure that everything goes right, because you don't want nothing to go wrong. Something can happen in the store, could burn down, people could get killed. I mean, we're trying to avoid all of that. All you have to do is give us a certain percentage of what you make, and you don't have to worry about that. Very polite, very friendly. But what is the subtext going on in that whole scene? Threat. This is how people in power deal and interact when they ask for things. They already know that they're going to get it. So they're not really asking, like the asking is just a mere formality. Am I making any sense?
Yes.
When they come to your store, they already know that you're going to give them money so they can protect you from them.
Right. It's kind of like, you ever seen the movie 300?
Yeah.
Remember the scene where the Persian Xerxes, he sent his representative off to meet with the Spartans,
right?
And they were, hey, listen, we'll make you a warlord and all this other stuff. And so the Spartan leader, I forgot his name. He already knew what time it was.
Mm-hmm.
So he kicked his ass down the well. And said, fuck it, we going to war.
Right.
You know,
Right. Because he wasn't asking, because like, all right, you go and you ask, hey, Spartans, we
yeah,
want to take over your territory. Is that cool?
right.
Like,
It
no,
make
you're
you a
making
manager.
that
I
guy's
mean,
presence there was a threat. So he dealt with the threat.
yeah, Leonidas. Hey, Leonidas, we're gonna make you I mean, you're king now, but we're gonna make you a manager. Is that cool?
But he asked politely.
Yeah, it's nice. Very diplomatic, very nice, very,
See, this is what and so we're going around asking people for reparations and totally clueless that who are you talking to? You're talking to people in power.
right.
So when you come to them asking them for anything, they taking it as a threat. So what's your leverage, Yvette? What are you going to leverage when they tell you, no, I ain't giving you shit? Now what? Because yeah, I agree with like when you say that black people don't have as much money as white people, I agree. When you look at all of the difficulties and things in place here in America to prevent us from getting power here in America, I agree. But I also know that black people have $1 trillion worth of spending power. So don't tell me you can't put $500 investment into your own black ass when I know for a fact that an iPhone is about $1,000.
Yep.
Don't be a hypocrite. Don't sit up here and cry broke and cry poor, but then I see you with PlayStation 3s and 4s and 6s and whatever the hell it's up to
Yeah.
now, and you got a goddamn iPhone that costs $1,000.
Man, hold up. Can I interject real quick? This is off topic. I know we're kind of off topic, but this conversation is still important. Hold up. I went to speak at a school back in, I think, April, right? And this is in a poor, impoverished, so-called poor, underserved black community, right? Tell me, hold up, how everyone there had on J's or phone posits,
Mm-hmm.
and all the girl, and this is a high school, and I was
Yep.
speaking to, I think, 9th and 10th graders. All these girls had on sew-ins and J's. I'm like, where's this money coming from? I'm not pocket watching, but I'm just like, I mean, just to your point, like we
The
don't have
money's
money.
there. The problem is not the money. Like somebody in the chat room said that the spending power has been debunked. That what is it? Spending power is not the same as wealth. Who said that it is? Those are talking points that I call those Negro stalling talking points, because nobody's making. You're creating a straw man with that, because nobody ever said that spending power was wealth. What I'm saying is, and this is undisputable. You can't argue this. You cannot tell me that you can't spend 500. All right, let's make it simple. There's an investment fund where you can put $500 into that fund to help you establish your nation state on the continent. Then you have an iPhone that costs $1,000. You can't cry broke to me, because if being broke is the issue, then you ain't got money for either one of them. Am I right?
Right.
You don't have money for the $500 investment, and you definitely ain't got $1,000 for an iPhone. But don't turn around and buy $1,000 iPhone and then tell me that, oh, it's unrealistic to invest $500 in your own black ass. No, the problem is not the money. The problem is the consciousness and the mentality of the people with the money. Why is One United Bank? I was going to post something on One United Bank in the chat in the BAIO, and I was talking to my brother Thomas, he's our financial expert within the BAIO, and the numbers were so sad that I didn't even want to post it. The rating for that bank is so sad I didn't even want to post it. And it's probably the largest black bank, I believe, in America, to my knowledge. But black folks don't put their money in the bank. Black folks don't support that bank. And their rating and their positioning within the competing against the other banks, they just can't do it. They can't do it. So my question is, why is your money not in a black bank since you all about black people? I have money in the black bank. I mean, it's kind of hypocritical to talk about, oh, this, you talk about all this stuff that we, which I've already said there is no we. But you can't even put $500 in a black bank. But you could put 10,000 in Chase.
Right.
Don't talk to me about money. Don't talk to me about money. See, that's what you call misanalyzation, where you're not looking at the situation and analyzing correctly. And that's why these guys they have the same information that I have. The same data that I have is the same data they have. The only difference is the conclusions that they're drawing from the data makes absolutely no fucking sense. I've said this before. Did the Jews pick Germany to have Israel in?
No.
Why didn't they pick Germany? Why didn't they say, let's put Israel in Germany? Isn't that where the shit happened?
Right.
But it makes perfect sense that they decided, you know what? It would be ludicrous for us to have our base of operation in our enemy's land. But it makes perfect sense for African Americans. You're going to have your base of operations in America, the place that's kicking your ass more than any other nation on the planet. But that's where you want to have your base at. That's where you feel you could defend your borders within the United States of America. Like I said, this type of stuff, the fact that we're even having a discussion on it is just mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling to me, man. We would come up with any excuses to actually have empower ourselves. And that's the African in America, and that's the African on the continent. So we do have something in common. We both full of shit. So maybe we can rally off the fact that we both full of shit. Yo, I'm just as full of shit as you are. Maybe we should get together and stop being full of shit.
Real quick, to my brother, Amir Ra, you know I love you. You know you're my brother. He says, if you don't know Kenya has oil, then what else don't you know? But this is the question, Amir Ra.
Who has the oil?
Kenya. This is the question. If Kenya has oil, great. But who are they going to hire? Which company from where to I guess, who are they going to contract? Is it going to be Kenyans? Is it going to be an African company, a Kenyan company? To what's the correct term? Explore the oil. What's the correct term? Dig up the oil. What's the
refine it?
Refine the oil. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Who are they going to hire to do it, Amaral? See, that's the issue.
And another issue is, if you want to hire someone to do it, then what you should do it is in the context of you always thinking about taking over whatever they do and doing it yourself.
Right.
So if let's say you want to get the Chinese to refine the oil, fine. I have no problem with that. But the Chinese should be doing technology transfer, knowledge transfer over to the people in that country, so that they can handle it on their own. At least after a certain point, like if you want to give the Chinese a certain amount of years to do it and train your people on how to do it themselves, fine.
All right. Well, if Kenya has its own refinery, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But see, this is the issue. We keep coming up with these, okay, this African country has oil. This African country has oil. Look at what Saudi Arabia did. Saudi Arabia was desert.
Mm-hmm.
They found oil. The first thing they did, they said, okay, because I want to say Europeans or white people were with them when they found the oil. They told the white people to get the hell out, and then we will come holler at y'all when we need you. They sat down around a table. They figured out a way how they could get what they want. It was what was in the best interest of Saudi Arabians. Then they brought in these companies, I believe. But I think Saudi Arabia, for the most part, they extract their own oil. And they might have like a partnership here and there, but they control it for the most part. In fact, I want to say the Saudi Arabia oil company I think they're a publicly traded company now in the stock market, I believe.
Mm.
So that's the thing. Like, I'm tired of hearing, oh, well, this African country has this resource. This African country has that resource. Oh, we got diamonds. We got cobalt. We got oil. Great. Use the Saudi Arabia method.
Right.
They said, look, all right, this is what we're going to do. Literally, I think white people were with them when they found the oil. They said, look, white people, y'all get back on the plane and go back to Europe and America. We're gonna, there you go. Saudi Aramco is the stock market. There it is right there. So they said, look, white people, you guys go back to Europe and we'll take it from here. Africa's not doing that. That's the issue.
Because they don't have an agenda. Amin Ra, what's the African agenda on the continent? Just answer that for me. And like I said, I'm not being sarcastic because I consider you a person of like mind. So I'm not fighting with you. I'm not being sarcastic. I'll be sarcastic with other people, but I'm not being sarcastic with you. I just want to know, in your opinion, what is the African agenda on the continent? Because I think the problem is there really is no clear and concise agenda. I think one of the things that could definitely be a unifying method is a high-speed rail throughout the continent. It would give the opportunity for countries to work with each other and come up with a consistent code. You know what I mean? Technologically wise. If that was something that people are even interested in. Or are we just abandoning modernization, period, and we feel that that's an aberration to have a high-speed rail going through Africa?
Yeah,
Because,
but
you know, there is that school of thought.
This thing I love, my brother Amin Ra. Who built the high-speed rail?
Oh, did he answer? Because I missed it.
Hold on, let me who built high-speed rail in Kenya?
PG says there is no agenda, and I agree with him.
Here we go. Nairobi to Mombasa high-speed railway opens. I'm gonna read this article. East Africa is now more accessible than ever. After 2 years of construction, Kenya's largest infrastructure project since independence, a $3.8 billion Chinese-built, again, let me repeat that,
Oh,
a $3.8 billion Chinese-built, let me repeat that. In fact, let me start all over. East Africa is now more accessible than ever. After 2 years of construction, Kenya's largest infrastructure project since independence, a $3.8 billion Chinese-built high-speed railway is up and running. I'm gonna stop right there. Again.
Yeah. Stop the show.
Stop the show. Again. It's no coincidence that China recently came out and said they're going to I guess establish more of a military presence in Africa. Because again, if they're spending billions and billions of dollars in Africa, they're going to want to protect their interests. Okay, this ain't protecting Africans. This is protecting their interests. But this is crazy. When Gaddafi came up with the idea to build an Africa for the Africans, by Africans, he got taken out. And when he got taken out, where was the African Union?
Good question.
Here we go. Dr. Mubi Show said if Kenya doesn't pay back China for the rail, they will take their port.
Once again,
it's going to be more. And you want to know how they're going to take their port? No coincidence why China is establishing a larger military presence in Africa.
Once again, what's your leverage? Hey man, I'm all for strategies. I'm all for tactics. My questions are really simple and they're pragmatic. What's your leverage? When somebody tells you that they're not going to do what you want them to do, what is your leverage? What's your plan B? The mere presence of a military base, basically, that's not even subtle. You know what I'm saying? That's not even subtle. That's obvious. And we sitting up here scratching our heads and confused as to what someone else's agenda is. But when you don't have an agenda of your own, then you're going to fall victim to everybody else's agenda. And that's, if you notice, that's the reason why oh, I got thrown off. This guy, I just saw what he said or something about the BAIO. I got completely thrown off of my chain of thought. Go ahead, Dinas. I'll think of what I was about to say.
No, what did he say? What did he say?
No, he was saying something about the BAIO site.
But again,
it was nothing negative, but it was just something that he was saying.
Yeah, but again, I mean, in the word, I'm wrong. This is in the words of John Henry Clark. All right, the black man has no friends. I don't understand why we cannot operate. I mean, it's just, if you look through history, that's just been the case. You might have associates. We might have non-black friends as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
But to think that China is for the best interest of African people, and that to think that China is going to put Africa in a position to surpass, I mean, China, you are mistaken. So you really think China is going to come over, build up the infrastructure so that Africans will benefit more than Chinese? So that you think China is going to put Africa in a position so that Africa will surpass China as far as domination?
Right. That's just shows you that's who wants to have a leader, who wants to have people in positions of power who think like that.
Right.
Wouldn't you rather have me or Dinas or somebody of our mentality looking at the situation from an African perspective and saying, how do we benefit from this alliance? How do we benefit from this coalition? And keep in mind, I ain't trying to be no leader. I'm just saying that you want people to have that type of mentality. If you want people working for you, those people have to constantly be thinking about your interest and not some ally's interest. Your interest. What's your goal? What's your agenda? And if you don't have one, then of course you're going to be terrified. Why do you think people in America are so terrified of the homosexual agenda? Because they got one and you don't. Why are you so afraid of the Mexicans? Because they got an agenda and you don't have one. So the mere presence of an agenda doesn't bother me. What bothers me is that we don't have one. And then when somebody comes out and they come out with an agenda, then you fight against it.
Oh, brother. Oh, nah, brother. Nah, man. Nah, ain't gonna work. They ain't gonna work.
Yeah, but see, I hear what you're saying, but
I hear what you're saying, but it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. Look what they did to Black Wall Street. Look what they did to Black Wall Street. Look what they did to Wilmington. Look what they did to Liberia, brother. We should just quit, bro. We should just quit and jockey for position.
Can I take it back to street terms like I did before?
Go ahead.
If you want to be a hoe, don't get mad when you get hoe treatment. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. Don't get mad when you attempt to jump up on the table and eat like everybody else, and the whole goddamn family slap you back down to your dog bowl. Don't get offended. Don't act confused because you want to be a hoe. You don't want to control your own reality. You don't want to have anything where you living in your own socioeconomic and political context. We just saw a movie that made $1 billion where you had Black people living in their own land, building their own infrastructure, had their own technology. There was nobody there to influence them. They didn't have Chinese in Wakanda. It was all Africans.
Right.
But yet we see that and we totally miss the point and we get caught up in some other bullshit.
Oh, it was too many. It was not enough Black Americans in the movie. It was a lot of more. It was a lot of
all
Africans.
Side issue bullshit. Oh, well, it seemed like Killmonger was the real hero, not just. What the fuck? Shut up, nigga. What the hell? You can't even, they've provided you an example. See, what they don't understand, I said this about Black people, and I've talked to people who are middle to upper class, and I've talked to people who are worth millions of dollars. You're in America. So don't expect people in positions of power who have found or carved out a niche within America to make them some money to now all of a sudden become Malcolm X for you. It ain't happening, nigga. Like somebody said something about, oh, The Rock, how come The Rock doesn't say that he's Black? I don't want The Rock to say that he's Black. To be honest with you, The Rock is universally loved. He's got a nice little niche position where he can make money from everybody. Why the hell would you want to have him say, now he's going to come out and marginalize all the people that's making him money? And for what? Do you have him or his family's back when he takes the financial hit from doing that? Everybody wants this ultimate sacrifice from people in power, but nobody has their back. You know why? Because we don't have a goddamn nation. Maybe if you had a nation, and maybe if people had a support system, they can be a little bit bold. But don't expect people to be bold and take your back. When they take your back, the only thing they're going to get is, yeah, brother, you told the truth. Now let me go home to my food, clothing, and shelter. And good luck out there. The fuck out of here, man. Everybody wants you to be a martyr for some non-existent cause. And just to clarify things, The Rock knows that he's Black. He said it before. He said, my father's Black, I'm Black. But don't expect him to go out publicly just, with his black fist in the air, because he makes money from everybody. Everybody loves The Rock. Why would you want him to, first of all, I don't want The Rock to be Malcolm X. The Rock is an entertainer. He's there to entertain people and make money. If you want somebody to be super Black, man, why don't you be that? But see, this is what we have when you have fucking nope, he's not Black, he's mixed. Get the fuck out of here. This is what happens when we have class clowns running with the ball instead of people who's actually intelligent. They don't know how to think in terms of power. They don't know how to think strategically. All right, I'll give you an example. Elijah Muhammad at the time, he was trying to, well, you know what? Let me not use that example. No, I will use that example. He liked the position that Ali was in. So he didn't want to have Ali taking pictures with him and just being like, you know what I'm saying? He wanted to put a little bit of distance between them.
Well, they did the same thing with Obama before he ran for president.
Exactly.
He was rolling with Farrakhan hard. Yeah.
Farrakhan said, let me put some distance between us because I don't want him to be aligned with me, and then they try to attack him through me.
Yeah, but Obama ended up screwing Farrakhan and
well, he screwed him. He screwed
Jeremiah Wright.
Jeremiah Wright and all of them. But what I'm more so talking about, the mentality of the leader is, if me being attached to this person is going to hurt them, let me back off. I'll give Farrakhan credit for that. I got my problems with him on a host of other things, but I'll give him, I've never said that he was not an intelligent man. Mm-hmm. He's intelligent. But you don't want to have Killmonger in charge.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't you want to have somebody that's level-headed and thinks before they do something? That's just me. Maybe you like being controlled by madmen, but not me. I want to know that if somebody's in a position of power in my nation, that they're level-headed. Could you imagine if Trump was in charge during the Cuban Missile Crisis?
I'm going to interject on that one because I'm going to say this. Okay, let me ask you this. What if Obama or Hillary were in charge during the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Not any better.
Okay. All right, then. Okay, continue.
Yeah, not any better. But what I'm saying is that if that person who was the president at that time had not had the demeanor and the character that they did, and keep in mind, I'm not no big fan of theirs. I'm just talking about in terms of temperament. I think it would have had a totally different outcome, and not in a good way. Because when you got everybody around you going, push it, push it, push it, push the button,
Real
push
good.
the button, push the button. If you don't have somebody with the mentality, whoa, slow down, hold on, wait a minute now. We're talking about nuclear annihilation. Let's think about this. I want somebody to at least have the ability to do that. That's my point. Because this whole group think and crowd shit, the crowd will have this whole world destroyed. Have the ability to say, wait a minute, wait, is this what we should be doing? Let me think about this. But apparently not everybody wants that. Go ahead, Dinaz.
Yeah, we have 190 people watching, 127 likes. Please hit that like button. Man, we've been on for 2 hours. Hold up. This went by
Really?
fast. Yeah, this went by fast.
Yeah.
This went by
You getting
fast.
ready to cut out, right?
Here in a second. We can see if we have any. Well, somebody asked me in regards to Kenya, was everything black? So I don't have to type it in the chat room. Was everything owned and ran by British, Indians, or Chinese? Kenya actually was not nowhere as in the same position as Tanzania and South Africa when it comes to that. I mean, I would say the majority of the businesses I saw and went to was ran by native Kenyans, was controlled by Black Kenyans. Now, Tanzania and South Africa, that's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that, but so what we'll do, Holip, I mean, what we'll do, we'll go ahead and close out. But I mean, brother, take your time. Anything else you want to share in closing? And everybody, thank you so much for joining us. The brother, shout out to Daniel Kyles, the brother that everybody that super chatted. Thank you so much for super chatting. Really appreciate it. Go ahead, Holip.
Yeah, in closing, I just want to say, if there's anybody that's in the BAIO, that's in the group, I want you to make sure that you join your local state chapter. If you haven't joined the BAIO and you're in the group, click on the link. Belle will probably throw it up. She's thrown it up a couple of times.
Yeah.
Click on the link and become a member of the BAIO. And if anybody asks, well, what's the agenda? Well, my question is, what's your agenda? What's your agenda? Is there anybody that you know of that's in your state that you've communicated with that is for nationhood just like you are? Because that's the agenda right now. The agenda within the BAIO is for us to reach out to other people in our areas and come together. And that's happening right now, like I stated earlier in the show. People in Georgia are getting ready to have a meet and greet. People in Pennsylvania are getting ready to do a Google chat with each other. People in Texas are meeting up. People in California. Everybody, all of these groups are taking on an autonomy and taking on a life of their own. No offense, but BAIO seems to be for an African agenda, not a Black American agenda. Knowledge is what's up. Are you a member of the BAIO, or have you even gone to the BAIO site? Because I love it when people make these statements and they don't know anything about what they're talking about. Because anybody all it takes is a simple click to go to the BAIO site and go to the About Us section, and it clearly states what we're about. So I don't know how that statement that you made is categorically false. Let's just say that. It's false. So go to the About Us section, and it's clearly stated what the BAIO is about.
I'm a raw, but you did have that issue that just came up, and I hope these.
Nutriment is in the group.
Oh, shout out to Nutriment. Did he win?
No,
book?
He didn't win.
He didn't win the book.
He didn't win. But I have, when I reach my next benchmark, he'll have a chance.
Okay.
And Nutriment is tasty, by the way. I personally prefer vanilla over the other ones. They kind of like got this strange aftertaste. The Nutriment is pretty good. That's a good drink.
That's, I was wondering what that was. That is a drink, right?
Yeah, it's a drink. Nutriment.
Are you boosted Nutriment?
But yeah, that's all I wanted to say is just like meet up with the people that's in your area that's for nationhood, and this thing will come together organically. There is no head or no charismatic leadership that's leading the charge. You have to get into the game. If you're for nationhood and if you even believe in the principles, then you should be a part of the BAIO and you should be talking to people in your area. That's the agenda. And if that's too little for you, then I would suggest you stick with your plan of taking over America from the white man, because that seems to be going according to schedule, right? Nobody seems to have a time frame or any benchmarks on the America thing. But then when it comes to nationhood on the continent, now all of a sudden, oh look, you tapping your watch. Oh, what's up now? I don't see this nation yet. Fuck out of here, man.
I think me and Kyle is addressing that tonight.
Yeah, please do, because this is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. But I want to address a comment Nutriman made in the chat room. All right. This guy sees things on the surface instead of digging deep into contracts. Even if Africa had an agenda, do you think it would make it obvious?
It's a hidden agenda. Ooh. Right. Wow.
Yeah, so I'm guessing he's
moving the chess pieces around. He's playing 3D chess with us right now.
All right. So Nutriman. So I'm guessing the agenda is allow China. It's like a smash and grab. I'm gonna keep it Holipsism. It's a smash and grab. You know, you go into Macy's, you see a Ralph Lauren t-shirt, you take it and you run out the store and hopefully you don't get caught by security. So I'm guessing Africa is going to continue to allow China to build everything. And then eventually Africa is just going to kick the Chinese out and say, hey, we got y'all shit.
No army.
We gonna punk y'all. We got your shit. We gonna debo China. Smash and grab and debo China.
Yeah, that's the agenda.
You know, so yeah, okay.
Right.
Right.
But I'm just going to trust that they have this hidden agenda. I don't need no facts. I don't need no evidence.
Yeah.
Because I'm a surface thinker.
Yeah.
That's where I am. I'm on the surface. I can't get to the minutia of facts and evidence.
Right. Yeah. Hidden agenda. Yeah. Let China build up everything. Let's continue to use the French safer that's toilet paper in France. And one day we just gonna smash and grab. Smash and grab. That's the hidden agenda. That's the hidden agenda.
God.
Yeah. Hidden agenda. Hidden agenda. But
the natural man. I gotta address this. The natural man who has all these opinions on what black people need to do is not a member of the BAIO. Thank you. I must admit that's a shock to me. Somebody talking a whole bunch of shit is not even got their ass into the game. What a surprise. Oh, Dynass, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
I think it would be excellent. Can you do a show with Nutriment, Aunt Nam, and the Duke of York? And you can throw in the Natural Man and who else? One of these other clowns in there. Can you please do a show with them and just give them the ball, give them the mic? Because maybe they got it. Maybe me and you don't know what the hell we talking about, and they can lead our people on the right path.
Nutriment said Africa's resources dictates the white man's agenda.
Okay, yeah.
And African elites are always involved and consulted. Okay, yeah.
He's playing 3D chess with you, Dynass. He's playing 3D chess. He's moving the pieces around the chessboard.
This is how it works. This is how it works. Hold up. Okay, African leader, we're gonna take your cobalt and your natural resources. If you don't, we're gonna send in our CIA hitmen and remove you. If you do, we'll give you an offshore bank account in Denmark somewhere. Deal? Shut the fuck out. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh my God. I so want these guys to run with the ball, man. I bet you if you did that show and you let them run with the ball, the BAIO might have 1,000 members join that night. It might be the best. It might be the best membership drive for the BAIO that me and Kala and you could have never have done it. I say we need to do a show with those brothers and let them run with the ball and let them give the people this information to show these people where they should be going. Because don't follow us. We don't know what the fuck we talking about. I want to hear what Aunt Nam has to say, because I know that's what everybody in the chat room is saying. I want to hear what Nutriment has to say.
Yeah, Nutriment.
That's what I want to hear. Yeah, I don't want to hear what anybody like Holip and Kala and the rest of the Dynass. I don't care about them. Let's get the real. I want to eat the crumbs falling from their table of knowledge.
Right. Yeah. Freaking, you know, the African leaders consult. The Europeans consults with the African leaders.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, they sure. Just
yeah.
like they consulted
Right.
over the slave trade.
Yeah. Just like they consulted with Gaddafi when they took his ass out.
Yeah, that
And
was a hell of a consulting job they did with him. They consulted the
they
shit
could-
out of Gaddafi.
yeah, like they consulted with Patrice Lumumba and Thomas Sankara because they consulted.
Yeah, they consulted with Eric Garner.
Yeah, consult.
That's what's happening to black folks. See, we don't understand what consultant is all about.
Yeah,
That's our problem.
yeah.
But
Like,
please, just think about it. I know it seems, crazy, but think about it. Think about doing a show with those brothers. Give them the mic. I personally, this is I'm putting a bet on it. They won't show up to the show. That's just me. I'm putting a bet on. Nutriment is very good at what he does, which is throwing shots in the chat room.
yeah, consult.
Put that nigga on the mic, and what you're gonna hear is can I get some water?
The Europeans are consulting with the African leaders on what to do with their resources. All right. Okay. Hey, we're gonna send in the CIA hitman, or we're gonna do what we want, and we'll give you guys an offshore bank account in Brussels somewhere and a Mercedes S550. Deal? Deal.
But yo, brother, I enjoyed being with you as usual.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope everybody else puts their hand on their heart, pledge allegiance to the U.S. flag, and God bless America today, because this is the July 4th. This is the day of independence for y'all, Captain America Negro. So I better not see no red, black, and green flags flying out here today. When I walk out, I want to see nothing but American flags. So this is America. God damn it.
All right, everybody. And guys, make sure you go to Mr. Holip Sism's YouTube page and please subscribe.
Whatever you do, enjoy your food, whatever. Enjoy your family, more importantly, and have a good day.
Everybody, thank you for joining us. Make sure you go to Search for Uhuru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Also go to Africa Personified on those same platforms. Make sure you go to searchforuhuru.com, dynastymir.com, Amazon.com. Search your name, Dynasty. Please buy a book. Also go to africapersonified.africa. Until next time, fam. Peace.
Peace.